Well, hello, beautiful audience. It's me, Dr. Cheryl, and you haven't seen me in 6 months on here live, and that means there's some very special things happening. So, I wonder what's happening. Well, you see below this video or above it or however the heck it displays. This is the week. Here we are in April 2024, and once a year only, I teach a live passion masterclass where I'm going to teach you the 3 keys to great relationship, which are answers to the 3 most common problems couples have that I'm going to talk about in just a couple of minutes. And please click below. You can choose one of 4 times for the masterclass. I teach for just over an hour on these 3 key areas in relationship. You'll answer some polls. It's all completely anonymous. You're not on camera. I'm the only one on camera. And you'll really get a thorough teaching of what I call the 3 keys to great relationship or the 3 keys to passion. And what's more, you'll hear about my upcoming 3-month immersion couples program, which I also teach once a year. It's a remarkable program. If you are ready to get out of the stuckness, to get out of the pain cycle, and really take active action with me as your guide to improve your relationship, you may want to look at joining me and a small group of couples for a 3-month journey. That kicks off on May 3rd. Best way to hear more about it is to come to the free masterclass. I'm teaching it Pacific time this week, Wednesday morning, Thursday evening, Saturday morning, and Sunday afternoon. When you click below, you'll get a drop-down menu with the 3 or 4 options. It corrects it to your time zone, but I'm teaching it Pacific time, 10 a.m. Wednesday, 5 p.m. Thursday, 10 a.m. Saturday, and 1 p.m. Sunday Pacific time. Again, it will correct to your time zone when you register. It's absolutely free. Grab your partner. We're going to send you a workbook, a little workbook to help you get the most out of your time with me. I stay at the end for at least an hour and answer your questions. You type them confidentially in the chat books. It's amazing. Well, come on, Dr. Cheryl, what are these 3 keys to great relationship? I'm dying to know. Well, you're in the right place. Let's flip that on its butt, so to speak. What are the 3 main problems, pain points, or issues couples have in relationship, in long-term relationship? And I'm going to surprise you a little bit right now. By long-term relationship, I simply mean you've been together couple years or more. Many of you have been together a decade, multiple decades. I've been with my sweetheart's second husband, last husband. I'm not training another one uh, for 11 years now. But generally, after a couple of years, what happens? Well, you end up with 3 types of issues, and a lot of us are really in a lot of pain because of these. The first one is variations of ugly or crappy communication. We argue a lot. Maybe we just bicker a lot. We sigh and roll our eyes, which is an expression of contempt, by the way. And contempt predicts divorce down the road or breakup if you're not legally married. I don't care how you love and who you love. LGBTQ plus, rainbow, everyone, hetero, normal, cisgender, trans. I love you all. If you're attempting to walk the path of long-term relationship with one person, then you're going to run into trouble. So one of the biggest pain points couples have, and I'll dive more into each of these in more lives I'll be doing over the next 2 weeks right here, mostly around 10 a.m. Pacific time. If you want to join me live, please do. Otherwise, I hope you're enjoying this little repeat or little replay. So the first major problem is around communication. Either you don't talk about the big stuff, you fight in ugly ways, you're critical, you're defensive, you have those endless, awful arguments that go nowhere. And you end up feeling more far apart, more hurt, and more confused than when you began. So what happens? Because you're not a masochist or an idiot, you start avoiding those tough conversations. You know, the top 3 things couples argue about are generally money, sex, and your kids, or some variation thereof. Do you know the nightmare landscape where you're starting to talk about something maybe unrelated, and suddenly it's like you get drop kicked into the fight? And so that's one of the biggest pain points in couples. And I answer that with one of the 3 keys to great relationship. I call it intimacy, but I don't mean intimacy here like a euphemism for sexuality. I mean it deep, meaningful conversations, the ability to handle conflict. Let me be really clear. I'll dive into this more and more lives in this week and next week. I don't mean you don't fight. I mean you fight fair. You learn and cultivate. I spend the first 4 to 5 weeks in our 12-week journey together in the Become Passion course working on this. And it makes really radical improvements to people's relationship, frankly. If you want to see some of those radical improvements, you can click below here in the comments. We'll put a link to the testimonials where you'll see videos of couples who've taken the program and what they learned, like Lisa and Cam, who went from ugly, repeated fighting to being able to communicate somewhat more or less effectively about the tough stuff. So that's the biggest pain point. I relate to that one. When I'm at my worst, I can get very nasty. I can get very escalated. We call it flooding, where your body's in a state of anxiety, anger, hurt, or fear, and you're not entirely rational. That's where we say the things we want to take back. That's where we end up making accusations, blaming. We're trying to ram our point of view into our partner's brain, which doesn't work. And we're not stopping to figure out what we're really arguing about. So the first big pain point, ugly fighting, or you might be conflict avoidant. You just don't talk about the rough stuff at all. You sweep it under the rug until you're like stumbling around mountains of crap that's been stuffed under the rug in the last year or 10 years or 3 decades of your relationship. So I work with you to learn how to communicate fairly and well. It's not easy. Nothing I teach is a quick fix because I'm a psychologist, I'm a sex therapist, I'm a speaker on world stages from Tony Robbins to Jack Canfield of Chicken Soup for the Soul. I've been quoted in everything from the New York Times, the Washington Post to Cosmo Magazine. I'm published author of the book Buddha's Bedroom. I've got a podcast many of you may listen to called Sex, Love, and Elephants with 150,000 downloads and more. But most of all, and the thing I'm most proud of is my work to create the Become Passion program. I wanted to bring deep, meaningful, tough, deep, meaningful equals tough work to more couples than I could one-on-one, seeing them here in my former therapy office, which is now my online course office. So that's the first big problem. I'm going to briefly talk about the next two problems and solutions. But if you haven't already, click below, choose your time to join me for a free masterclass. Even if the Become Passion 12-week program is not of interest to you, why wouldn't you spend 60 or 90 minutes this week with me, ideally with your partner, with a workbook? I give away some wicked prizes too, by the way. It's really fun. And it's also really meaningful. You'll learn a great deal, and I hope to see you there. The second main pain point is around romance or lack thereof. A phrase that is sometimes used is, I love them, dot, 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 but I'm not in love with them anymore. We all intuitively know what that means, and it means the romance is gone. What I call the thrill is gone. How much are you making an effort these days to romance your partner, to surprise them with an exciting date, to plan something really great for their birthday? I'm planning something extraordinary for my husband's birthday. He doesn't know about it, so I'm going to mention it here because he doesn't watch these live streams. I've planned an eco lodge in the wilderness of British Columbia where we're going to go for 4 nights, luxury eco lodge, and go grizzly bear viewing and wildlife viewing. That's what I've planned for his birthday in 6 months from now. These are aspects of the way we used to romance each other when we were dating. Remember that? Do you remember how great it was when you were dating? How fascinated you were, the long conversations you had, the way you lit up when they walked in the room, and maybe more importantly, the way they lit up when you walked in the room. The second major pain points of couples, the first one being around communication, ugly fighting, not dealing with conflict, etc. The second one is this lack of romance. I call it the lack of thrill, where we're not getting off our lazy butts. I'm going to give it to you straight. I'm a very straightforward teacher, so I hope you'll join me in one of the master classes this week and get a major download of this information for free. Join it with your partner if you can, and it will really help give you some tips and techniques to begin working on your relationship now. But this lack of romance, lack of fun, lack of connection is this sort of like, almost I would call it a silent killer of a relationship. It's the disappointment. Is the lying in bed next to your snoozing sweetheart and thinking, is this it? Is this it? I thought we had more. We used to be more. Now, I'm not naive, and I don't shovel poop, and I don't teach things that aren't clinically based in research, couples therapy, sex therapy, and more. But the fact is we get lazy and complacent because novelty is exciting. New discoveries are exciting. That's why you don't watch the same movie every night, every week, whatever, for 5 times in a row. You want something new. And of course, this plays out both subconsciously and consciously in our romantic relationship, where we get bored with our relationship or our sweetheart. So I antidote that with my second of the 3 keys to great relationship, which I call thrill, which is where I really walk you and your partner through. We'll do a mini version of this in the free workshop. this week. Again, there's 4 times. You can choose one below that works for you. And I do a major deep dive in this in the 3-month program that's kicking off on May 3rd, which is literally right now. I'm working with the couples from my previous program on every day. We're sharing a gratitude or an appreciation for 30 days. Honey, I appreciated so much today when I was really tired and you gave me a shoulder rub and you kissed my neck and you told me you're so proud of everything I'm doing. And then the partner says, thank you. So the second pain point is lack of connection, romance, thrill, feeling adored, boredom, sadness, and disconnect. And we antidote that by working on thrill. I'm going to go deeper into each of these. I'll do a series of these Facebook Lives in the next 2 weeks, usually around 10 a.m. Pacific, but I might get inspired and jump on it at a different time. Don't hold me to that time. So to review, first problem, communication, etc. I antidote that with a major teaching on what I call intimacy. The second, boredom, complacency. I love them. I'm not in love with them anymore. And of course, that can be much worse. There can be marital affairs. There can be disconnect. You might be separated. One of you might want out of the marriage, whether you've told your partner or not, etc. So that's the second major pain point. And the third one is to do with the bedroom or lack thereof. The majority of couples are not having a good or a great sex life. I've surveyed over 10,000 of you in the last 5 years when I've taught that free masterclass. Again, if you've just joined me, I'm teaching it for the only time in 2024 this week from April 24th to 28th. So choose your time. Of the 4, I teach each of them live. I stick around at the end, answer your questions and more. Hope to see you there and help you as best I can. Well, I won't really see you. It's confidential. You're not on camera. I'll be the only one on camera to preserve your privacy. The third main pain point is around sexuality. And I've done a poll with over 10,000 of you, and only 4% of you say you've got a great sex life. Around 11% say you have a reasonable sex life. You still make love fairly often. Up to 30 to 35% of you are in what is clinically defined as a sexless relationship. You make love 6 or fewer times a year. And of those, a lot of you don't make love at all and haven't in many, many years. You are normal. Let me reassure you that this unspoken pain between us, where we're not making love, is actually reasonably typical in long-term relationship. You're just not asking your friends about their sex life, and they're not asking you. So the third major pain point is around sexual desire, disconnect. One of us wants to make love, often one doesn't. It can be pain, sexual dysfunction, changes as we age, a whole lot of issues around our sexuality. The antidote, or what I call the third key to great relationship, or the third key to passion, is to work on improving our sensuality, including slowly moving from not making love at all to having maybe some more intimate naked cuddles, having a shower together. You can think that sounds silly if you wish, but it's not at all silly. I'm good at what I do. It's building steps from where you are to where you want to be. So I don't want to keep this too long today. So in review, 3 major pain points and problems couples have. Communication issues in many forms, ugly fighting, not talking, feeling like your partner doesn't even know what's going on in your life or your world, etc. The second is around romance, connection, feeling lit up and in love and happy and grateful, grateful. This is my person. I'm so delighted we're together after all these years or a few years. And the third is around sensuality and sexuality. You're not uniquely broken. I hope to see you again. You're not on camera at one of the free masterclasses this week. This is the only time in 2024 I intend to offer them, and the only time in 2024 I intend to offer the 12-week immersion online course with me, where I teach you live every second week. You get an entire curriculum and more. You'll hear about that on the free masterclass. But whatever you're doing, do something. If you're watching this live or on replay, it's because you've got some interest in relationship. You've got some interest, presumably, in improving your relationship. Do something. And honestly, why wouldn't you spend an hour or so this week learning and growing? So pick the time that works for you. I'll see you there. If you absolutely can't make any of those 4 different times, register for one anyway, and we'll send you a replay that will be good for a day or 2. And you could watch the recording with your sweetheart. That's better than nothing, but it's much better to be there live. You can ask me your questions anonymously in the chat box and much more. Mwah. Great to be back with you live. I don't do this very often, but I'll be popping in here more often in the next couple of weeks. Okay, bye for now.